Insurance agents from around the world, welcome to the Insurance Guys podcast. My name is Scott Howell, your fearless host and leader, insurance agency owner and insurance evangelist for I Protect Insurance and Financial Services, based out of Huntsville, Alabama. And before we get started on today's episode, please help me welcome. He is a 6'3" sophomore from Mobile, Alabama, parade first team All-American, Rivals 5-star recruit. He is a fantastic insurance agent and a great American. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together and welcome the incomparable Mr. Bradley Flowers. How are you, Bradley?
Fantastic. What about you?
Christmas. I'm a kid at Christmas right now. I'm a little bit starstruck, but I'm getting over it, and I don't get starstruck very easily. I've, met a lot of famous folks in my day, but today is a very special day for me, folks. Now, Bradley, I've got some bad news for you.
Okay.
But then I've got some really good news for you.
Okay.
So the greatest storyteller that ever lived, unfortunately, is no longer around. His name was Jesus Christ. Told some great stories. There's a book out there. It's called the Bible.
I'm aware.
He got it done. But unfortunately, in real life, he's not here today. Second greatest storyteller that's ever lived. Lived in a little town called Yazoo City, Mississippi. He recorded 17 RCA albums. He died, unfortunately, and it was a sad day in my life because I studied him the way the Discovery Channel studies meerkats in August of 1998. His name was Jerry Clower. Now, one of Jerry Clower's most famous stories, it was called Knock Him Out John. And I've always said, if I ever get as rich as Bradley Flowers is, I am going to buy the masters to all of Jerry Clower's albums because you can go to YouTube, you can go to Spotify. The pace, the delivery, his setup from a storytelling. Now that Knock 'Em Out John, which is one of his famous stories that he told, ends with the punchline. Will John just shoot up in here amongst us because one of us has got to have some relief? It's one of his most famous stories that he tells. And unfortunately, Jerry Clower is no longer with us, so I don't have him on today. But I have traveled across this nation like Johnny Appleseed for the past 10 years, talking to insurance agents about the importance of storytelling. And I will say a couple of things. Your success or your failure in this industry, especially, let me say that again, especially if you're in life insurance, is there a more emotional sale, Bradley Flowers, than life insurance? And you have to be a great storyteller. I have never seen a successful, and I know some real successful life insurance agents out there. I'm talking about guys that own an airplane who haven't had a incredible story that so when they sit down with Mr. and Miss Jones, because you cannot sell life insurance over the telephone. Have you ever tried to sell life insurance over the telephone?
Unsuccessfully.
Spitting in the wind.
Yeah.
You got to go sit down on the couch. Wife's here, husband's here, and you have to have a compelling story to tell. And the most successful life insurance agents out there have that compelling story. And I'm talking about a story that sticks with people long after that meeting is over, right?
Yep.
Are you ready for the good news?
Sure.
In my humble opinion, I have the greatest living storyteller on this podcast today. And we have one mission: help insurance agents any way we can. You want to become a better storyteller? start following this guy. I study him the way that Discovery Channel studies meerkats. I watch his pace. I watch his delivery. I watch his short form stuff. He goes black background, facing camera. I could go on and on and on and on how I study him. Again, I'm a little starstruck. You can hear it in my voice right now. I want to give him the introduction that he has always deserved. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm so excited. I'm telling you, Huffy bicycle, 10 years old. I woke up. I walked down the hall. It's under the tree. Big red bow on the seat. And Santa Claus had put on this Huffy bicycle, on the right handlebar, Santa Claus had one of his elves make, you remember the black, it was like a black box, but it molded into the handlebar, and it would make your bicycle go vroom, vroom, like a motorcycle.
Yep.
Oh my God. Ladies and gentlemen, he is originally from Oakland, California. He currently resides in Rancho Palos Verdes, California. He is a graduate of Menlo College with a Bachelor of Science degree in Business Administration. He's a master storyteller, branding expert who has spent 25 years shaping award-winning ad campaigns for global icons like Budweiser, Lexus, and Toyota. As worldwide director of creative learning for advertising giant Saatchi & Saatchi, he's authored a program to teach advertising professionals to sell their work more persuasively. Today, he consults with Fortune 500 companies, universities, and governments on the art of persuasive messaging. A sought-after speaker with multiple appearances on the TEDx stage, he is known to millions for his viral videos celebrating everyday human kindness. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my profound honor today to introduce to you first-time guest on the IGP, Mr. Neil Foard. How are you, Neil?
Excellent, and I sure hope I can live up to that. Thank you, Scott. By the
Not
way,
setting you up for failure.
you have quite a presence, so I don't know that I'd have much to teach you. But
Neil, I want to say, when I found you on TikTok, I guess it's been about a year and a half ago, I started watching your videos, and I became addicted to I'm still addicted. I watched 2 or 3 of your videos this morning. I don't know if I've ever found anyone on TikTok that I was just so into as quickly as I got into your stuff, because of the storytelling, the pace, the delivery, even how you set the camera up and you've got the black background, you facing the camera. Was that instinctive on your part, or how did you come up with that? And of course, you also have the captions as well. How did you come up with all that? Was that something you did, or instinctive, or what?
yeah, so yeah, you're wondering whether how much of that was a conscious decision and how much of it was just a style choice from instinct. One of the first lessons you would learn in advertising is that you can't look like your competitors. And you have to give them something where they can identify. Now, let's say, for example, in your context, you must not seem like you're just another insurance agent. So you have to ask yourself, what
I don't have to worry about that.
Yeah, well, you do. So you have to say, what would be a cliche for me to be like? And then you sort of have to break every one of the cliches.
Sure.
Now, the reason I just sit there and I stare into the lens is that one thing that I learned from making thousands of advertising presentations is if you show other things, like you have, say, a slide deck next to you and you're showing a bunch of slides, they're not looking at you. They're looking at the slide deck.
Correct.
And what's more, if you give people like too much to read, they're going to read it. They're going to stop listening to you. So in many ways, the reason I'm just talking to you directly is so that you and I are having a conversation just like we're having now. And since there's nothing else to pay any attention to, it's sort of incumbent on me to make sure that my voice goes up and down and I have different tones. And I keep it moving, but only so fast as, isn't assaulting you. And I have, if you turned off my videos and just watched my face, you're going to see a lot of movement. Like I'm not moving around, but my face is going up and down and sideways and
Sure.
yeah. So it's all very deliberate to keep our attention together so that I'm telling you a story and just you. And I'm not involving anybody else. I'm not looking around as I walk down the street. I'm not putting on makeup. You know, I've been told many, many times, you're doing it wrong. To which I'm laughing. I go, no, I'm not doing it like other people, which
Right.
means that when you find me, I don't resemble everybody else. You know immediately it's me. And then on top of that, the reason for the black background is the theater of your mind is much better than anything I could do with AI or
Sure.
pictures. And so if you don't know where I am, I could be anywhere.
Sure.
Like I could be, although I do have to say, I love the brick that you guys have going. That's pretty damn cool. But the black background is so I could be anywhere. And because I could be anywhere, it's left to your imagination where I am. And then there's another thing, which is how few people actually wear a suit jacket in a pocket square on TikTok. I think I might be the only one.
Right.
In the millions of people that put stuff online. Again, I was told you shouldn't do that. It makes you look too formal. It's like, bro, that's my vibe. So I'm sorry. That's just who I am,
So
Well, something to be said too for knowing that it's you before you watch the video. Okay. Let's say that I'm scrolling on TikTok and I see the video, but I don't have the time to commit to it right now, and I keep scrolling. But I knew that was one of your videos. That's still a social media impression. You still got the branding out of it, even without the person watching the video.
Yeah, in a nanosecond, you see that black background because there's really no other that I can think of TikTok videos I've ever seen with just a black background like that. So as soon as you see it, you know it's Neil Foard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or I haven't seen any ripoffs yet, but I'm sure you're
I've
going to
seen
have some people
I've seen a
copying them.
couple, but they bailed out. And I think
yeah.
it was I've seen a couple, and then I thought, oh, okay, well they're ripping me off. And then I stopped seeing them like that, and I thought, oh, because other people were telling them.
Yeah, yeah.
Like
Right.
you don't own that. But then again, I mean, I'm not that big. I'm just shy of about 400,000 on TikTok, which is not big. That's not a big brand. The important thing though is that the people that are into it are way into it.
Right.
So
They're
I feel
me.
obligated to keep going, because
Well,
we're all part of a family now.
Well, it's one of those things too. Okay, if you've got 400,000 followers, let's say you have half of those people are really into it, right? If I put 200,000 people in a room with you, you're filling up any stadium in the country.
Right,
You know what I
right.
mean? So it's like,
Yeah, exactly.
that's where it's like the impact is way more important than just the actual reach.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And Brad, I'll tell you one extra thing, which is this is one of the most fun things. So every once in a while, somebody will reach out to me, like you guys have, and people will say, if you're ever in Minneapolis or if you're ever in Shreveport, I'd love to buy you coffee. And I have taken people up on that. So I was going to be in Minneapolis anyway. So I reached out to this cat who had said, hey, if you're ever in Minneapolis, I said, hey, so I'm going to be in town. Let's go get a beer. So he goes, fantastic. So we meet for a beer. We're there for 3.5 hours. And he is telling me about what it's like to be a stepfather, where you're trying to be a good stepfather to a 13-year-old son who doesn't want you in the house.
Yeah.
Right? Like you can imagine how hard that is, right? You're trying to be a good dad, but he doesn't want any part of it. And for 3.5 hours, I felt like I'd known this guy my whole life. And there's something beautiful about meeting strangers that it turns out you're really not strangers, because the whole reason they wanted to meet you is because they felt like they knew you.
Yeah.
And that is a very powerful thing. This, by the way, Scott, for your benefit, and I'm so grateful for that introduction, but the power of stories for insurance purposes is that you establish, look, you and I are both human beings. We're both living this journey at the same time.
Sure.
Can I give you the benefit of something that I know would be helpful to you? And I just want you to think about it. And I'm a human being, you're a human being. This is something that I think will help. And when you're telling stories about, like, let me tell you why I feel this way. You know, if you're going to say, do like, you're out in Silicon Valley and you're trying to get venture capital for some app or something, the most important thing you can do is say, this is who this is for. Let me describe the problem they have that I solve.
Right.
That's going to be a story.
Right.
And the more deeply emotional it is, the more likely the person who could fund it is going to go, I understand this. I don't just understand this intellectually. I get it. I get what you're saying. And just the fact that you guys have a podcast, you are now out in the world doing exactly that. You are spreading a sensation, an experience, a background, values. The number one thing you're broadcasting, whether you realize it or not, is your personal values.
Right.
And when somebody knows where you stand on that stuff, they don't have to know your politics. They don't have to know your income. They don't even have to know your profession. They're just going, I get it. I get where this guy's coming from. I understand him. And I'd like to be friends. We're being driven apart, as you guys know. We're being driven apart by professionals who want you to be engaged. And they know that rage baiting and anger and frustration and fear, those drive engagement.
Right.
And they are only too happy to push the gas on that pedal. Well, here's what I want to do. I want to be like one of those old time storytellers who makes you feel like, you know what? We're not so bad.
Right.
We're not really that. I know what you're being told. It ain't like that out there, man. That's not my experience.
Right.
I've had situations where I started out and I was arguing with somebody, and it wasn't road rage, but it was similar. It was like having a disagreement in like a deli. And then by the end of it, I have apologized for raising my voice and said, listen, you don't have to say you're sorry because this isn't your fault. I'm just telling you, I really am sorry. And I'm ashamed. And frankly, I'm going to walk away in a minute. I just want you to know I'm so sorry. And the guy goes, brother, don't even worry about it. And you wind up having a sandwich together.
Right.
And
yep.
You know what? That's how most people are. Like, one minute I'm upset, and the next minute I'm saying, Jesus, I'm sorry, man. I'm human. I apologize. And if we would just acknowledge, not everybody's out to get you, that if you can have a little grace that way, it turns out most people are pretty cool. Well, that's what values do. And storytelling helps you communicate your values. Like, we're in this together, man. Look, we're not enemies here. We're not competitors. I'm not trying to mess with you. I'm just giving you the benefit of some experience.
Well, it's one of those things. We run an insurance agency. Okay, I tell my team this all the time. We run an insurance agency. The only way we are not at the bottom of the totem pole of what people have to do that day is if they happen to be renewing their driver's license. Nobody wants to deal with the insurance
or
people.
having to call the Internal Revenue Service.
Yeah.
Right.
We are not getting the best versions of our customers.
Yeah.
And that doesn't mean you let them curse you out or anything like that. But so my director of operations here is a former Chick-fil-A manager. And Chick-fil-A has this great video that they show people on day one. I don't know if you've seen it. It's called Everyone Has a Story. It's on YouTube. And it's a video of what's going on in a Chick-fil-A restaurant.
Right.
And it's showing this one lady that's frustrated with the cashier, and a little pop-up pops up over her head. Husband has cancer.
Yeah,
and it goes through each customer. And so what I've found with me when I am disrespectful to someone or frustrated or whatever, and I, for lack of a better term, show my butt, there's always something else that has nothing to do with this situation that causes that. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
And it's never like that person. And I always tell our folks here, like, you have to remember that, like, these people have lives too, and they have stuff going on, and give them the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah. 100%. I go ahead, Scott. You're about to say something.
No. I was just going to ask, Neil, while I'm sitting here thinking of all the questions I had for you. And one of the things that I talk to insurance agents about all the time, everywhere I go, is you have got to learn. And by the way, if I die in a fiery plane crash in the next 5 years or so, if there's one podcast that I would want my 18-year-old son to watch or listen to, it would be this podcast, because I'm telling you, it doesn't matter how much education you've gotten, what many degrees you have, the power of being able to tell a story in our industry, and even in just life, it just, in my opinion, can catapult you so much further in life than if you can't. You know what I'm saying? But in our industry, Neil, and I mentioned it earlier when we started this podcast, Bradley and I are property and casualty agents. We don't sell a ton of life insurance. Bradley, I don't think you sell any anymore, which is funny because I used to be a life insurance agent. That emotional story that has to be told when you're in a living room talking to a husband and wife about life insurance is important, but it's also important on the property and casualty side. And I think it's one of the things that has made me so successful in my career was my ability to take coverages and use real world examples, because I know somebody, just a person outside these windows, they probably don't know the difference between comprehensive and collision coverage. But if you can take that and humanize it, like you said earlier, Neil, and create a story around it. Let me tell you what comprehensive coverage is, and then be able to tell a story around it. I think your success rate in this industry goes up exponentially as an agent, producing agent every day. Neil, would you agree with that?
Oh, I think so. I had the opportunity to work for the chief financial officer of Saatchi & Saatchi when I was there. And so I watched him up close. And it was, here he is, he's in the finance end of things. So he's in the tabulation and reports business. But he was an exquisitely good storyteller. And he told me one day that when he hires people, it's like, if you can add the numbers correctly, then you get paid 1x. And if you can manage people who can add the numbers correctly, then you get 2x. But if you can tell me what those numbers mean, I'll give you 10x. And if you can tell me where the numbers are going, I'll give you 50x. And that's because the only data is useful, but not unless it means something, not unless it adds up to something, because we've got to project. You guys are in the business of what happens in the future, and you're in the business of what you don't know what's going to happen in the future.
Correct.
And so this guy was such a good storyteller. What he was able to do was walk into a room of highly successful business people and say, these numbers here, what they tell me, just at the facts, they tell me this. But here's what I suspect they want to tell me. And then he would paint a picture of the possibilities. If you do this, you could do that. But let's propose, if there is this change, and we think there's going to be, we will all be here instead of here. And he was so good at that they wanted him to be in front of clients all the time. It's so ironic. He was the finance guy, but he was so persuasive because he had the benefit of all the numbers. The idea of, I often repeat this, but I'll do it with you guys. If I gave you your choice of 4 superpowers, the first being super strength, you could lift rail cars, like they're styrofoam. Or number 2, you had the power of flight. You could leap into the sky, fly as fast as a jet, no waiting, no TSA. Or third, you could be completely invisible, walk around unobserved by the rest of us. Or 4, nothing physically you could do, but you have the ability to change people's minds. Which would you pick? And it's always obvious to everybody I share that with. They go, obviously you'd want to change people's minds, because there's nothing you couldn't get or do if you could persuade people.
Sure.
Now, I'm not in the superpowers business, but I can tell you, just like self-defense, jujitsu, just like learning a language, just like being good at sports, just like being, talented painter, when you get better every day, it's astonishing how far you can go. And storytelling is towards that. I can change your mind. And the reason I can change your mind is, I'll take a quick tangent to say, it's a little bit like how soap works. most people don't know that contained within soap is a little bit of animal fat. And the reason they do it is they discovered in the Ganges River in India that the clothes were cleaner downstream of where they'd been cremating bodies on the shore than they were above the fat, because the little tiny bit of remnant animal fat in the water was bonding with the grease in clothes, and it was bonding just enough to loosen it up, and then the lye could get rid of it. It's the same way with people. In order for me to break down your defenses and have you listen to me objectively and not like this,
Sure.
is I have to make you agree with me a little bit. I've got to make you feel like I have a little bit of animal fat, like we see each other as people here. You understand where I'm coming from. All of a sudden, your defenses go down because you go, okay, he seems like not a con man. He
Sure.
seems sincere, which, and in that way, storytelling is a great advantage. So the sort of stories that we tell, we're often not aware of that that even are stories. Stories are behavior. Let me give you an example. So I don't know if you saw this one, Scott, but I had the experience of, I used to do a lot of business with Toyota out in Plano, Texas. And in Plano, they have this very, very fine Marriott. It's so good. It's practically a Ritz-Carlton.
And I've heard that facility with Toyota is incredible. I've seen pictures.
It's
of that
really
facility.
nice.
Yeah.
It's really nice. They've got this beautiful interior courtyard that's open air. Oh my God, it's fantastic. It's really good. And so a lot of the Toyota execs stay at this Marriott, and I used to stay there when I would go and do business. But then one weekend, or I go there and it's completely booked up with executives from out of town, and so they have to shunt me down the street to the Residence Inn. Now, that's about 2 notches down. And I'm thinking, oh, well, this kind of sucks. Then I go in there, and the gal behind the counter, this woman named Caprice, is so cool. And she's so happy to see me. Yeah, they told me you were coming down. Don't worry. I'm going to do my best to make sure that you are happy here as you would be there. And she's making sure I'm near the gym, and she's complimenting me on my physique, which does not deserve it. And then she's saying, I'll get you on an upper floor so nobody's stomping on the ceiling when you're trying to sleep. And she's really going out of her way to make me happy. And then she says, and now the time has come for you to spin the prize wheel. And I go, what? She has made out of a dartboard, she has handmade a prize wheel on which she has put all the little things that you can get in the little store over here, you know, like the cup of noodles and the granola bars. Okay, so I spin it, and I think I win a mouthwash. Okay.
There
And
you go.
she's like, woohoo! Okay. And then one of the other guys who's going to the little sort of restaurant, he goes, can I spin the prize wheel? She goes, I don't know. Will you earn it? Can I see you smile? So he smiles. So we're spinning. Now it's a party because now everybody wants to spin the prize wheel.
Sure.
And we're getting like nail clippers and, like it's a party.
Right.
And we're all just laughing because Caprice is making the place so much fun. Well, every night I would come back to the hotel on a little Lime scooter. And the thing about Lime scooters is you're supposed to leave them out so that somebody else can use it when you're not using it.
Right.
And I would drop it off every night there. And then when I would come out in the morning, there would be no Lime scooters. So I was, had to hoof it over to the headquarters. Well, one morning, I think it was the third morning, I come downstairs and some young guy I've never met goes, are you Neil? And I go, yeah. And he goes, Caprice wanted me to save your Lime scooter. So they had gone out and snatched it so I'd have one in the morning. Now, I'm sorry, as nice as the Marriott was, and it was beautiful, they would never have gone out of their way and done that for me.
Right.
It was just this gal. So what she was doing was she was telling a story through her actions. The story she was telling us, I care about you. I'm going to protect you. I'm going to look after you. I'm going to make this fun for you. And what I would like to suggest for us all is that we sort of have to leave the house every morning thinking, okay, how can I make every encounter slightly more fun?
Sure.
Like, you just know she sat around laughing about this dartboard.
Yeah.
Right.
It was so obvious it was handmade. And just the gesture was so sweet by the way, from then on, I always stayed there. I didn't bother with the Marriott anymore because
Of course.
what am I going to get out of a nicer bed? You know, it's
Yeah.
like, no, 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 no. I just want to see her because I'll feel taken care of. And
Right.
and
Yeah.
we can all do that. And I'll give you a way, like we can all do that. All of your people listening can do this. I don't know when the last time was that you got a letter in the mail that wasn't junk mail or a
Right.
bill, but I love to send letters to people in the mail. And
Handwritten.
yes, so that they know that you took the time to compose it, handwrite it, maybe even decorate it a little bit, and get a stamp and put it in an envelope and go to the post office. You see what I mean? The comparison between that and
Sure.
an email
Yeah.
is that
Sure.
they may not articulate it in their head, but they know you spent enough time to do this, which means that I invested this time because that's how much I care.
Right.
And people don't care what you think until they think you care, right? You guys know
Right.
that. And
Right.
these small gestures that actually don't take a lot of time, if you think about it,
Mm-hmm.
they so disproportionately signal your humanity to somebody else that it's really it helps you tell the story like, hey, I'm a human being and so are
Right.
you, and I noticed and I care about you enough to take this effort. And you know that was an old Dale Carnegie thing, which was everybody loves the sound. They love the sound of their own name,
Mm-hmm.
like that's music to their ears, hearing their own name. Well, seeing it is just as much fun. And little things, little tiny things you can do for people, especially people you already know, who don't think that they don't. It wouldn't occur to them to spend the effort to just say, "Hey, bro, I really appreciate you." And there's something I noticed. I had an old boss who used to do that with employees. He had his eyes up and he was always listening to somebody compliment somebody else. Oh, you know, Jake did a great job on this presentation. Mary really went out of her way to make sure that we covered up for this AV problem. And he would write them notes and say, "You don't think we hear this stuff? We hear this stuff, and I noticed you, and I think you should be quite proud of yourself. And just know you have fans in the building." What do you think that person's going to feel like for the rest of the week?
Absolutely.
Mhm.
You had
And
him.
that's something I need to do a better job of with my employees. I don't think I show enough appreciation. Now I will to Neil's point, and one thing I'm known for on this podcast is I tell these agents all the time, whoever is answering the phone in your office, I need them to be Paula Deen and Sweet Tea, not the DMV. Because in a nanosecond, when somebody answers a call, you can tell, especially if it's your family member, like your mom, your dad, your son, your daughter, you can tell in a nanosecond if they're in a good mood or not.
Yep.
And similar to that, human beings, when you have someone answering the calls in your agency, can tell, does this person really want to talk to me, or is it
Yeah,
which subconsciously says, I really, why did you call? I don't want to talk to you. So that's something that it's a lot harder because I think a lot of people answer the phone, and if you were to say, hey, there's a better way or there's a different way to do that, they'd say, well, I don't understand. You almost have to let them listen to that call to say, you listen to this and tell me if you think the person on the other end thinks you wanted them to call.
I tell my folks, smile while you're on the phone.
Yeah,
You can
that's
hear
smart.
a
Yeah.
smile.
True. Yeah.
And a lot of times that sort of changes it and it trickles into other ways. But yeah, to me, that's one of the most frustrating things when you call a business and you can tell that person has no interest in talking to you whatsoever.
Well, and you know, I'll tell you something else. It's like this is why automating the phone thing is an absolutely terrible idea.
Sure.
Like I had the good fortune. I had done so much air travel a couple years back that I qualified as a diamond flyer on Delta.
There you go.
Wow.
Oh my Lord, that is life changing. So what happens is the first thing that happens is you get an 800 number and it goes to a real person.
Sure.
And when you dial that number, they know who you are. So you don't even have to say, Denise, this is Neil Foard. It's like, no. Oh, Mr. Foard, I hope everything's going okay. I know you're on a flight from Los Angeles to Miami today. That's right, I am. I just want you to know that the weather's going to be good. What can I help you with? And you say, well, I was kind of hoping maybe you might be able to bump my friend up into first class and get him next to me. Um, well, let me see if I can do that. And bang, bang, boom. Now, as much as those things like them helping you out with stuff is important, just being recognized,
Mm-hmm.
you feel like you are 8 feet tall and like no of the rules of the universe apply to you anymore.
Yeah.
You know,
Absolutely.
just being recognized. Well, when you were talking just a moment ago, like if you have them smile, it's that same vibe as them knowing your name.
Sure.
Yeah.
They're about to learn your name. And
Right.
there is a real, you guys know, some people just have a knack for decompressing people on the other end of the line.
Right.
They've got a way of saying, like, I get it, I understand, I don't blame you, I probably would react the same way. Let's see if we can get this resolved and maybe I can make you feel a little better if that helps.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
they just have a knack. And for some people it's reps. They've done it enough times where they've got it down. And then other times it's just they have a natural bent towards diffusing trouble. But I've had a couple of people really talk me down off a ledge on calls. Well, I was upset about cable. You know, and boy, I was
Right.
really ready to dig in, and they just totally had my number. And they go, look, I get it, and you're not the first one that's had this problem today. So I got a pretty good instinct. I'm gonna fix your problem. So let's just cooperate with each other. And I was like, okay, okay,
Mm-hmm.
sorry, you're right.
Well,
Go ahead.
yeah. Two, I think it helps. I've told this story to insurance agents before. I think you referenced earlier, like, storytelling in some kind of ways humanizes people, and I've told people, like, you should use the story of your company to humanize your company to your customers, so they know they're calling a person, not a company. And I'll tell you something cool that happened to me. So I'm a big bourbon snob.
Ah,
I
right
I
on.
used I used to not be. So this was like 12 years ago. Me and my wife were going to Nashville, and we stopped by the Jack Daniel's distillery. And we went through the whole tour where they show you how Jack made the whiskey and how they still do. I mean, in depth. They show you the safe that he kicked that infected his toe that killed him. I
Oh
mean, it's
wow.
very in depth. I actually have a video of me kicking the safe. And so that later that night, we met up with some friends who were in Nashville as well that happened to go to the distillery the same day. And we're just sitting there hanging out. And out of nowhere, my buddy looked at me, he said, "Do you have the urge just to pound Jack Daniels right now?"
I know,
I
right?
said, "I do too. Me too. Yeah." And it's because we knew the story of how it was made.
Sure.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I think whatever the company, if you can tell the stories of the people inside the company in some sort of social media fashion or whatever, customer onboarding, it humanizes you to your customers in the sense that they might be a little bit more friendly when they're dealing with you because they
Mm.
Yeah.
know that Johnny is a real person who has a golden retriever. You know what I mean?
You are 100% right. Anybody that did that Anheuser-Busch tour and saw the Clydesdale,
Yeah.
stables, man, they became Budweiser drinkers for life. And I did down in Avery Island in Louisiana, I did the Tabasco tour.
Oh,
It's the
that's
same
cool.
thing. And yeah, what happens is you become invested in somebody else being a real human being, a real place, a real person. And I don't think we should underestimate this in the age of AI.
Yeah.
Now, what you guys are going to experience, because everybody's experiencing, and we're all living through this moment together, is that what AI does is it's going to amplify and scale all of our best and worst
Hmm.
practices.
Sure.
And there are going to be a bunch of people out there who are going to use AI to create just an endless supply of slop and emails. They're going to, like, I already get a ton of emails where I cannot believe somebody has sent me this message. Like, I
Mm.
couldn't be further away from their target demographic. Well, of course not. They're just blanketing the world because it
Yeah.
costs them nothing. Well, in that age, to be a real human being with a real story means automatically you qualify as being worth a premium. The same way that that 800 number, I get a real person who recognizes that I'm a real person with concerns. That is worth so much money and so much satisfaction. And I'll give you a sense about, like, I was in I was in the Salt Lake City airport, just to stay on the airline thing for a minute. I was in the Salt Lake City airport and I was in the Delta Lounge. And this very nice young gal who's cleaning up, she's sweeping up around me. I can't remember how we got into a conversation, but we wound up talking for about 25 minutes about social media. And the next thing I know, I'm like, oh my God, I have taken you away from your work. They're going to be furious. I'm so sorry. She goes, no, no, no. No, they like it when we do this. What? Yeah, when we talk to the guests, it makes people feel like it's a welcoming place. Even when they don't talk to us, they feel like they are welcome, nevertheless. I thought, oh, that's really smart because it made me feel welcome.
Yeah.
And she says, yeah, they encourage it. And so I thought to myself, oh my Lord, somebody actually has their head screwed on. The more human this place is, the more I crave to go back. The more I talk up Delta, which I did, by the way. I wound up doing a video about this very thing and just bragging about how it made me feel good to be a Delta flyer.
Sure.
And I mentioned Ed Bastian. I mentioned his name. He's the CEO of Delta. Okay. And I said, Ed, I don't know who, you and I have never met, but I like your style, brother. And 24 hours later, I got an email from Ed Bastian, the CEO of Delta.
Wow.
Because I'd had a genuine, real experience with a real person that was flying the flag of the Brown, proud to be a member of that company, broadcasting on behalf of all of the other people in the company. Our management likes it when you feel like you're welcome. And can you believe that? Some people really care about that. Like some CEOs really care about that. And go ahead.
Hey, Neil, I was going to tell you, so Bradley and I fly a lot and we're both Delta snobs. We always, if I'm going to fly, I'm flying Delta, and I was going to tell you to add to your story that you're telling right now. They have, in my opinion, the best one question after call survey I have ever heard. And somebody in the insurance industry needs to do this as well. Have you heard this survey that they did?
No.
So when you finish with one of their customer service reps, it says, would you be willing to take one question survey? And of course, I'm like, one question? Sure, I'll do that. And it comes on and it says, if you owned a customer service business, press 1 if you would hire the customer representative that just assisted you, or 2 if you would not.
Yeah.
And that's it. That's all that they have. That's pretty slick, right? I've never, you never hear somebody do that.
Yeah, that really is slick. That's
go ahead.
Well, what I respect about that, I respect a lot of things. Let's just start with the idea that it's one question. So just as you were saying, Scott, if it's one question, absolutely.
Yeah.
Now, why that's so important is the more people they get to take the survey, the more representative the sample is.
Sure.
As opposed to just people that have time to kill.
Right.
That's not a good cross section.
Right.
The people who have time to kill
you could
are
say
the
the
people
opposite.
who leave 3-star Google reviews and say, I had a great experience.
So anyway, that's the first thing, is that it's one question. The second thing is that they've gotten right to the nub of it, which is, look, we just want to know this one thing. Do you feel like that style of customer service was sufficient that you would actually hire somebody? Now, my guess is it's proof positive that these are emotional issues. This is not an objective criterion. This is how did they make you feel?
Sure.
And this, more than anything, is why storytelling is relevant to the task of and the vertical of insurance.
Right.
Because it's stories that communicate that we're both human beings. I can put bullet points on a screen all day long, and even if intellectually you agree with it and it sounds good, you're not feeling it the way that you would if things are explained in the form of a story. And there's another thing that is nice about that survey. You remembered it.
Sure.
You remembered what they asked. You can't do that if they ask you 2 or 3 questions.
Correct.
You will only do it if they only ask you one question. And that repeatability, that's another reason why stories count in a way that bullet points don't. For example, okay, you guys, who knows what we talked about on this call? Probably three or four things, and you may be able to remember a few of them, but give it a week, you won't remember anything I've said. On the other hand, you have probably not heard the story of the tortoise and the hare in 20 years. And yet, not only do you remember it, you could tell me the story and you can tell me the moral.
Right.
And you could spit that out right now. Why is that? Well, because stories are the operating system of how our minds and memories and priorities work. A story turns into an emotional memory, it's not a factoid to be held on to. It's discarded. We can't remember everything that happened to us. The reason we can't remember everything that happened to us, if we did, we would run out of memory in about a week. Instead, we're very selective about what we choose to remember. And things that touch our emotions are very long lasting. They have a long shelf life. And a story like The Tortoise and the Hare, which is very easy to repeat, which has all the proper, it has a hero, it has a villain, it has a challenge, it has a moment of desperation, it has a moment of triumph, and it has a conclusion. And you just go, oh my God, yeah, every story that you tell that has those elements. Can I tell you about a problem that one of my customers was having? This client had this situation. None of us want to face that situation. Lord help you. I don't want you to ever have to live through this. If it should happen, what you really don't want is the compound problem of it being life destroying. Or, I had these Merrill Lynch guys that I was coaching, and they had a marvelous way of saying the way they like to introduce the concept of protecting people's wealth is to say, look, I'm not here to make you rich. I'm just here to make sure you don't have to make all your money twice.
Right.
All of a sudden you go, oh, I know what he's in the wealth preservation business. He just wants to make sure I hit retirement and everything's going to be okay.
Right.
As opposed to yachts and planes, right?
Right.
And it was very compelling for him to start that way. And likewise, in the form of, it's funny, I can remember that. Like I remember that phrase.
Yeah, sure.
Because he built the whole thing around the tale of, this is the approach I'm going to take. I'm going to describe to you what your likely end state is going to wind up being if we do things this way. And so if I could just add one extra thing, you were listing your favorite storytellers at the beginning. And I was down in Gadsden, Alabama, shooting a show for a company down there called Brush Monster, which is run by this pair. They're just glorious. And that was the home of Paul Harvey.
Yep.
Do you remember Paul Harvey?
I do.
Oh
Fantastic storyteller.
You're not far from Gadsden, are you?
No, I'm not. I'm about 40, maybe an hour, 45 minutes. Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't know why some of the world's most historic storytellers come from the South, but there's so many great storytellers that come from the South. I don't know why.
Well,
I don't know what the reason behind that is.
There's a kind of music to the language, first of all.
Yeah.
I mean, you have to admit, my granddad was from Paris, Kentucky. So, Bradley, when you were talking about being a bourbon snob, brother, I feel you.
Yeah.
I feel you. He was a wild turkey, man.
Oh yeah.
So,
hey Neil, before I let you go, I had a couple of things. One, I wanted to tell you. I told you I was going to talk to you about it. The way you've impacted my life with one of your stories. You'll really like this. But before I get to that, I want to ask you this. 25 years of helping to create some of the largest brands in the world. Lexus, Budweiser, Toyota. The list goes on and on. What, from your vast experience, what are a couple of lessons that you've learned over this past 25 years in helping companies create brands that last?
okay, so I got a bunch of those. Let's start with this. You have to fundamentally say to yourself, life gets so much easier when people like you. So the approach of the brand is not to walk into any space and thump your chest about how great you are. The story is never about you. The story is always a love letter to your customers, to say how much you appreciate them, how much you see them and respect them and want to be a part of their lives. And it's funny, Scott, the longer I was in the business, the simpler it got. But I don't mean simpler like it was easier. I just mean like you would go back to first principles.
Sure.
Like, I shouldn't have to tell you as a brand, life gets easier when people like you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Right.
I shouldn't have to tell you that, but you do. You have to tell people it's not about you, brother. Don't go in there and lie. Don't lie to people. Don't false, foot them. And make sure that when you're telling them stories about your brand, make sure that you love and respect them, and you give them the respect of knowing how things are for them. So if you're an off-road enthusiast, don't fill it with a bunch of BS. Get to the hub of why do people go off-road? What is it about that people are really after? And it turns out in the end, the only thing anybody is ever after is belonging. It's why Marines are Marines.
Yep.
It's why people last 35, 40 years of marriage. You belong to one another. It's why people are so fanatical about a sports team or a kind of brand. They want to feel like they belong. And let's take a lesson from dogs. So I love dogs. Most people love dogs. It's kind of a test. If somebody doesn't like dogs, it's like, okay, what's wrong with you? And the thing is, though, that dogs are not perfect. Dogs have drawbacks. We all know. You got to walk them constantly. You got to feed them all the time. You have to pick up their poop. They shed on everything. The number of times I've left the house with hair all over my suits. They have to go to the vet. That's expensive. You got to board them if you travel, or you got to take them with you, as that's a whole other issue. And if they bite someone, God help you. And yet, and then on top of that, dogs, you know how it is. If you put all that love and sacrifice in it, and then they die. And it's highly likely that will be among the saddest days of your life.
Agreed.
So my question is, why do we put ourselves through this? Why don't we bother? And the answer is because dogs love you first. They don't judge you. They don't wait for you to love them. They're just happy to see you. And my favorite thing about them is they don't look at you and wonder if they could have done better. And think about that for a minute. Think about the way people love dogs. They really love dogs.
They do.
It's because dogs are the first movers. Dogs are the ones that say, I don't judge you. I just like you. Yeah. And I love to see you. Now, for a brand, how does that work for a brand? Just like we were talking about on the phone, answering with a smile. You got to be like that all the time in everything you do. You'll be happy to see you. I'm happy to see you. I'm glad you're here. The caprice at the Residence Inn goes, oh, it's time to spin the prize wheel. She's happy to see me. She wants to make sure I'm close to the gym and on the top floor. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Right.
You could have the fanciest hotel in the world. If they don't care that you're there, forget it, man. I got no time for you. So that was a lesson from advertising too, is like all the ads should be uplifting and make you feel like, I'm glad you're here. And they used to do stuff like,
by the way,
go ahead.
Does anybody do a better job of the I love you letter to their clients, their fans, than the CEO and the advertising agency that does the right before you fly on a Delta flight videos? Have you seen those videos that they do where he gets on and talks about and they'll have like different members of the Delta family come on and say, thank you. One of the top ads I've ever seen are on those Delta flights. They always do such a phenomenal job with those.
Well, one thing that Ed Bastian understands, I think, better than most CEOs, I'd say he's in the top 1%, is that he recognizes a great company is built on great people. It's not built on a business model, or certainly the airplanes are the same airplanes everybody else buys.
Right.
That is not the difference any more than a fine building in a hotel is what makes the hotel stay different. It's the people. And just like you, I am a Delta snob. I walk through the airport proud that I am flying on Delta, and I am proud that the people that work for Delta are proud they work for Delta. I take pleasure in their happiness for working for that brand. In other words, the story that I'm happy to repeat is Delta treats its people with respect and with affection, and they're happy to work there because the
Right.
management recognizes and sees them. Now, when those people are saying thank you, they 100% mean it. But the signal I'm really getting is Ed wanted to put his own people on camera.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I'm really getting.
Sure.
Ed wanted his people on camera because he knew that they meant it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's different when somebody really means it. And if I don't own a big company, I many days I wish I did, but exclusively so that I could make it a fantastic working environment. Because are you guys you know who Dan Campbell is, coach of the Detroit Lions?
Sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
That guy tells a story.
Mm-hmm.
Sure does.
That guy says
From
we
the
play the
heart.
kind of football that
Yeah.
represents this town. This town has been knocked down, it has been bruised, but it has gotten up. And the kind of football we're going to play is that kind of football. We are going to, you can knock us down, we are going to get back up. We support each other, we block for each other. There is a certain kind of player that will thrive here that isn't necessarily the best player.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
It's the
It's
right
sort of
kind
like it's sort of like, was it the Pistons back in the Michael Jordan era that were the bad boys?
Sure,
Oh,
right,
yeah.
right.
Oh, God.
It was kind of like that,
Yeah.
you know, they represented the city, you know, we'll punch you in the mouth.
The Oakland Raiders in the 70s, which is when I grew up, the Oakland Raiders were ferocious, but they weren't the same animal that the Detroit Lions are. The Detroit Lions don't need you to penalize them. The Detroit Lions are just tough as nails.
Mm-hmm.
And they know that coach feels it.
Mm-hmm.
This guy's not a tactician. He's not working the headset with a laser pointer. This is an old school guy who knows how that game is won and lost. It's as a team. He is a team coach. And I wish I could play football for that guy.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
You know, I grew up my whole life being an Oakland Raiders fan. I've decided I just like him better.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I owe no loyalty to a team that has left its town 4 times.
Right,
Exactly.
What the hell do I owe you? You're gone again. I feel like I was, you know, it's like somebody's, should we get married? I don't know. How many times you've been married before? Oh, 3.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, before I let you go, I had a couple of things. I wanted to kind of finish what I started with, which is how you've impacted my life. So one of the many stories that you told on your TikTok channel was a story, I believe it was about you and a friend of yours, maybe a business acquaintance. And I believe you were in an airport, I believe. But what resonated with me was your buddy that was with you had these little dolls with the trolls with the hair and you tell this story of how he walks up and I believe it was yeah, there it is right there. So I will listen to that story, and you know I believe in God. I'm a Christian, but I'm not somebody that's going to get out here and go up to people and, you know, do you believe in Lord and Savior Jesus? You know, that kind of thing. But I got to thinking about it, and my wife had ordered me these. And this has changed my life. This has truly changed my life. I travel all over the world. Everywhere I go, I hand these out, and it has truly changed my life. I just gave 2 of these to your property management people in there. Bradley, right before this, we got back from lunch, one of them got up and hugged my neck. And I mean, they're
not the nicest people either, Neil.
No, they are not. They are not. But they are now to me. I mean, I wish you'd have been there, Bradley, and seen these 2 ladies and what they were doing. I'm going to show you what I've got. And this has truly changed my life. I mean, I can't believe it. And by the way, I get whatever I want wherever I go now because of this. Truly, I do. I get whatever I want. So I've bought thousands of these. I hand these out to people all the time. And I'll say, you know what? You look like you need a little Jesus. And everywhere I go, I just get whatever I want whenever I want it because I give them a little. And I walk up to them, like, you know what you look like? You know what you need? And they're like, no, what? And I'm like, you look like you might need a little Jesus. And I just hand it to them. And I cannot tell you how it's changed my life. And I go everywhere I go. I hand out these everywhere. Bradley now has them all over his office here, everywhere. But I want to thank you for that because I would have never thought that this right here would change my life the way it has. It's been unbelievable. And it all came because of the coincidence of her ordering these for me, which I don't even know how she thought I was going to use them at the time. And then I hear this beautiful story that Neil tells within a day or two of getting these. And I thought, you know what? I'm just going to walk around handing out little Jesuses to everybody.
She ordered you a whole bag of them because she knew you needed a lot of Jesus.
This is like my fifth bag. This is like my fifth bag, Neil. This is like bag number 5 right here, and this is like a quarter full of these.
So. It's funny. It's just a little thing, right? It's just a little Jesus. But what it really is, and this is the best part of it, is look, you're a human being who happens to be leaking.
Right.
Goodness and comradeship, right? You're just
right.
You can't help yourself, Scott. You can't help yourself. It gives you permission to be who you really are. That's what's really going on.
Yeah.
You just wanted to reach out to somebody and improve their day. That's your
100%.
That's coming in it from here. You're going, I just needed an excuse to just try to improve your day. Now they know that. They don't know that. Mm-hmm. But they go, he didn't really want to give you the Jesus. What he really wanted to do was just say, I see you, I notice you, I want to make you smile. We're in this together. No wonder you got the neck hug. That person needed that badly right then. And that's what they really needed that. And you just, because it was just leaking out of you anyway, it was like you watering flowers. It happened to be dry ground there, and that seed needed that. But I think that's glorious. I'm so happy to hear that's what's been going on for you, because just like you, I have been experiencing that when you're out in the world and you're saying upbeat things and you're trying to reassure people that it's not, not everybody's out to get you and your neighbor isn't your enemy, it does tend to come back at you 3 or 4 or 5-fold. It comes back at you as positive energy, and people are happy to see you.
Right.
And I have had people say nasty things to me online.
Oh yeah, we all do. I've got to. I don't even.
The proportion is so small. It's so ludicrously small that, in a way, it's reassuring that it's real. Do you know what I mean? If I didn't get any negativity, I'd be almost suspicious. And then every once in a while they'll go, nah.
Yeah.
Okay, but I'm so happy that that's happening for you, and I think it really makes me feel good, Scott, that you picked that up, and now you're actually practicing it more probably than I am.
Yeah, and the ancillary, part of this, which I, had no clue was going to happen. Hell, I get whatever I want, Bradley. I go anywhere. I could go to the airport right now, and I'd hand this to the flight attendant. And without me saying anything, she just type in, "Here's your first class ticket." Like it is the most amazing thing I have ever seen. I get whatever I want wherever I want, and that was not in any way intended as to why I do this.
Well, that's why you get it, because it wasn't transactional.
Yeah, it's an unintended consequence almost. Yeah. But before we get off this call, because I know you need to go, tell all these insurance agents out there, and I do want to join at some point, but I know that you have a course that is online. You have a website and an online course. And again, you and I didn't talk about this before, but I do want you to talk to them for just a second about if you want help, if you need help, and maybe you're in sales, maybe you just want to become a better storyteller, where can they go and learn more about the nuance and how to tell a great story?
Yeah, thank you for that. I appreciate the opportunity. Yeah. So it's called Storyfire, and the name comes from the idea of us sitting around the campfire telling stories. So storyfire.net Sometimes you have to put the www in front of it. But the course this is a very, very small taste of what you get it's very systematic and methodical, and it's broken up into about 25 videos. And on top of that, there are exercises, of course. And if they take the Storyfire Pro level, we even have bi-weekly calls, which is really cool, because they'll have something, oh, I've got an upcoming meeting, or I'm doing a wedding toast or something. And we'll sit there, we'll actually, as a group, we'll sort of like break down, hey, here's what you can do, and here's some, it's really nice. It's fun too. They're only supposed to happen every month, but we do them every 2 weeks just because I'm having too much fun.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, but anyway, and not only that, but I just did a discount code. And if your listeners would like 33% off, this is for a couple of weeks, it'll be like this, 33% off, they would write Bridgepoint 33. Now let me spell that, because unfortunately I put an E on the end. So it's Bridge, BRIDGE, Point, POINTE, Bridgepoint 33. And that'll get them 33% off the complete and the pro levels. And just to give you a sense, like, oh, what do I get if I do this?
Sure.
It's pretty much the distilled lessons that I learned from doing thousands of presentations in advertising. And so it is soup to nuts, baby. I mean, it's everything, what you talk about and why you talk about it, and how to structure a story so there's kind of like beats in it, and how to communicate sincerity, and like anything, like tennis, like ice skating, like baseball, it turns out when you really dig into something, it's not quite as simple as it looks at first.
Exactly.
And
exactly.
For a professional, for any kind of professional who's selling, it's not a very, very big investment, but it has a huge benefit.
Could change your life.
Everything's like, it's really bite-sized too. The videos are like 6 minutes. So
Right.
you don't have to, you can do them, while I'm having my morning coffee, I'll watch one of these.
Right.
And
right.
I've gotten some very good reviews on it. So I really appreciate the opportunity to do a little commercial for that. Thank you for that, Scott.
We'll drop that code in the show notes too. So
Absolutely.
I
you guys
appreciate
can
that.
get it.
Thank you. Yeah.
Neil,
Sweet.
thank you so much for being on today. Humbled
It's been
and
a
honored
thrill.
to have you.
Scott, you and Bradley are just the best. This has been such a kick in the pants. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, and if you ever get down to Huntsville, Alabama, please
I may.
Reach out and we'll go grab a coffee together and talk for a little while.
Right on.
So
I would love that.
I'm going to go.
We'll have,
I'm going to go ahead.
we'll have some bourbon.
That's
There you
it. That's it. Hey, I'm going to shut this thing, guys. Shut this thing down, guys. As I end every episode, rewards come from action, not discussion. Get your ass out from behind that desk today and go out into the big bad world. Stop shuffling paperwork around. Stop doing TPS reports. Go become the mayor of your village. Go become a great storyteller. Tell stories. Build relationships. You can have all the AI that you want to have. This business, this insurance business that we're all in, is about being a great storyteller, and it's about building relationships. And the more of those you can build, the more successful you're going to be in the long run. So go make money for your family, for your wife, for your husband, for your kids' college fund, for your parents and your in-laws like mine that are struggling out there. Go make money for them. Write good business for the agencies that you represent, and write good business for the carriers that you represent. Bradley Flowers, I love you.
Love you too, man. Thanks, Neil.
Thank you for all you've done for me. I appreciate you.
I got you.
Guys, you
cool
were
to meet you.
listening to the Insurance Guys podcast, and we love each one of you. Thank you so much for being a part of our family, and we'll see you back here real soon. Take care.